So in your previous video, we had a look at adjusting the field size to optimize our parallel opposed treatment to a certain extent. But and that may well be what you do in your department in terms of as much as you would do to optimize it. But actually, we can take this one step further if we wanted to, and we can have a look at adjusting the amount of dose that goes through each beam and have a look at the effect of that. So what I'm going to do is let's put the isodoses back on, so all of them. So let's tick that and click OK. And we can see on this screen here, in this view here, that we've got equal weighting, equal amount of dose going through each, and you can see we've got a big region here of high dose, a big region of high dose here, and this yellow structure here is our bladder. And actually we want to minimize the dose we give to the bladder, and the thing we're wanting to deliver to the dose to is to this PTV. So why don't we have a look at adjusting the amount of dose that we are going to put through the fields to try and make the unequal and therefore deliver more dose to this region here. So before we do that, I just want to have a look at the dose distribution now and then give us something to compare it against when we do that change. So I'm just going to bring my DVH back up here. So if you haven't got it on screen, it's right click and show DVH, and we're going to add the bladder onto here as well now. So bladder and the PTV. So the PTV is orange and the bladder is yellow, and actually we can see the bladder is receiving more dose than the PTV, which doesn't really make sense at the moment, does it? So let's have a look at how much of the PTV is being covered by 95% of the dose. Okay, so our PTV is our orange line, and 95% of the dose is this bottom line here. So I'm going to select my crosshair. 95% is around there, so we can hold down the left mouse and slide it till it gets to the point. So I can see my 95, so what we might call the D95, is equal to 88%. And then the other thing I want to have a look at is how much of the dose is being delivered to the bladder as well. So let's see how much dose 50% of the bladder is receiving. Okay, so our bladder is here, 50%, so we're going to go across there, and I can see at the moment that 50% of my bladder is receiving 101% of the dose. Okay, so let's go back to our plan now and adjust it and see what difference that makes. Okay, so to adjust the weightings, we can go planning and field weight, or you can see there the shortcuts F3. And if we tick this box here, this interactive apply, it'll mean that the screen will update as we change things. So we can see here at the moment that 50% of the dose is going through the post field, 50% is going through the ant field, which gives us a total of 100. Okay, so if I was to put more dose through the ant field, I can move this slider like this to maybe something like that. And you can see that there's now 57.4 through the ant, 42.6 through the post. So it always has to equal to 100% at our isocenter, or the normalization point. So by doing that, you can see I've got a huge amount of dose down here and a reduced amount of dose up here. Okay, so I've actually gone the wrong way round. So let's have a look if I was to do that the other way, and it very much is an iterative process. So I'm not going to optimize this fully. I'm just going to kind of pick a roughish number there. So with 75% and 25% ish, this is what the dose distribution looks like. And if I go to my DVH again now, it looks very different to what it did before. Okay, so if I look at my PTV, I'm going to see how much dose how much of the PTV is covered by 95% of the dose. So I'm going to put my crosshairs on again. So 95% is here. So I've now got 94%, so that's up quite a bit. And then I'm going to see how much dose 50% of the bladder is receiving. So I've got 50%, go across to my bladder line, which is the yellow. And that's reduced to 90%, okay? So we've got a 10% reduction there. But one thing you can see by looking at this line, that huge amount of the PTV, or the patient as well, is receiving more than 110% of the dose. So if we look on the screen here, we can see that we've now got 130% of the dose in this region here. So have a go at adjusting those sliders to see if you can optimize the plan so that this 95% is clipping as tightly as possible around the PTV, and then whilst reducing the dose to this to the bladder.